Alright, let me tell you something. In 2024, I met my little cousin in China for the first time, but I could barely talk to him. He would speak Mandarin only, right? But all I could do was nod, shake my head, and just try to respond with my really broken Mandarin. And everybody else spoke Haifeng or Cantonese. He was the only one who could only speak Mandarin because he was only like 6, right? That's when I realized that language is more than just about communication. It's also about connection. So I grew up in Sydney, Australia, and I would always speak Cantonese at home with my parents. But everywhere else, it was just English. So my mum, she brought me to Saturday Chinese school. It was run by a church. It was cheap, and I went for 4 years. Then my mum told me to go to a Mandarin class, and I was like, why do I need to go to Mandarin class? Like, I didn't know why I had to go, but I just went because she told me to. Now, fast forward to March 2025, my dad asks me, do you want to go to the Tomb Sweeping Festival in China in April? And I was like, hell yeah, I love the food, love seeing family. But then it hit me. I remember in 2024, when I saw my little cousin for the first time, I couldn't speak to him, right? And then after that trip, I was like, yeah, gotta learn Mandarin. I gotta lock in because I did not know how to talk to him, and it kind of sucked. And for that whole year, I didn't learn Mandarin. So the trip was happening in less than a month, but I didn't have my Mandarin on. So I decided to give myself a challenge. 25 days, learn some Mandarin, go back, and at least be able to talk to him. But like, let's be real, who the hell learns a language in 25 days, right? I spent years in Chinese school, and I didn't even learn that much. I barely remember anything. And it's not like I didn't try, right? Mandarin was hard. It's a hard language. And every Saturday, we would get a test called a dictation test. The teacher would give us a bunch of words we would have to write down in our books. But it's not just words, right? It's Chinese characters. And Chinese characters, they're really hard to write. So then like every week I would go back and I would fail the test pretty much every single week. It was pretty bad. And this was when I was a kid, right? I got the exam paper, I went under the table and I tore that shit up. Oh man, the teacher was so angry. She called my mum. My mum got really angry and I was like, man, I felt bad for doing that. I don't know what I was doing. I just wasn't taking Saturday Chinese school seriously. So what made me think I could just learn Mandarin in 1 month right now? I thought maybe if I turn this into content, that would give me some accountability. It would push me to actually learn. And that just gave me more pressure. Like, what if I gave up halfway? But then I remembered why I wanted to do this. I wanted to go back and be able to talk to my little cousin in Mandarin, to be able to actually have a conversation with him. I didn't just want to go back and just sit there and like he's talking all this stuff and I don't know what he's saying. Yeah, it's not a good feeling. I said, you gotta do this. So I made the speedrunning Mandarin series and I had to shut up, sit down and start grinding. Now the first few days were actually really enjoyable. I downloaded Duolingo. It was like this app that teaches you some simple Chinese. And I was learning new vocab every day. And I stayed up till 5 a.m. making that Duolingo short. And when I posted that video, my friend actually told me that I actually persuaded him to download Duolingo. And now he's actually consistently learning Mandarin, and it's pretty nice. I watched YouTube tips about vocab frequency lists. I learned about the history of some Chinese words like yikwai. And I found this Chinese dictionary app called Pleco. It's actually really useful. It can take whatever you say and translate it to English or Cantonese or Mandarin. It's pretty damn good. And I actually came across something pretty interesting as well. I came across the Canto to Mando YouTube channel. They had a video on how you can just convert Mandarin tones to Cantonese tones. And I saw that they had a program, but it was kind of sus. So I didn't think too much about it. I just kept watching YouTube videos instead. And throughout this first week, I was trying to speak Mandarin with my parents as well. And most of the time, I would just switch back to Cantonese halfway because I didn't know what to say. But I was learning Chinese words again. It was like I was back in Saturday Chinese school. Except I feel like it was a lot more enjoyable this time because back then I was kind of forced into it. But this time I wanted to do it, so it was a totally different feeling. But after this first week, I realized that Mandarin was going to be harder than I thought. I realized that Mandarin was more like a formal, standardized version of Cantonese. So there were words in Mandarin and Cantonese that were the same, like 健身房 or 健身房 for gym, or 医生 or 医生 for doctor. So that gave me some false confidence. I thought, yeah, I get it. I'll just speak Cantonese and change the tones and I'll be alright. But then I ran into words that were completely different. Words like 回家 or final K, which means going home, or 公共汽车, which is 巴士 or bus. And something happened in real life a week into this challenge as well. I was about to head home from work and I was sitting in the car, right? I was parked on the side of the street. And this man, he just walks up to the car. I roll the window down and he just starts speaking in Mandarin. And he was talking pretty fast, right? I didn't know what he was saying. So then I was like, 可以广东话吗? I'm pretty sure he said no, he can't speak Cantonese. And he couldn't speak English either. So then he pointed at the dashboard of the car. There was a parking ticket there. So I realized, oh, he's probably talking about that. So yeah, I was trying to convey in Mandarin. I was like trying to tell him that there's a parking ticket machine over there on the street. But I couldn't get my words right. Like I knew that he was trying to understand what I was saying, but I couldn't really say what I was trying to say. So then after I pointed at the parking ticket machine, he said, "Xie," and walked off. I went home on that day thinking, man, I still can't speak to these people in Mandarin even after learning for a whole week. Then I realized that I had to do something else. I was doing Duolingo, browsing vocab lists, and I was learning new words through Pleco, but at this rate, I don't think I would be able to hold a conversation with anyone. I was thinking that if I went to the Chinese restaurant that day, I don't think I would be able to speak to the waiter either. And it was less than a month until I had to go to China. Like, I was gonna be on that plane soon. And with this level of Mandarin, I think it would be kind of the same as 2024. I would just be sitting there, nodding, smiling, not understanding what my little cousin is trying to say. And like, people online have been talking about how it took them months or years to be learning Mandarin. So like, there was no way I could have done this in 1 month. I was burnt out at that point, so instead of grinding for Mandarin, I just sat down in front of the computer and I just started playing games. Low-key felt like giving up. But then I told myself that I really needed to do this and I wanted to do this. It wasn't me back in the past when I was just going to Chinese school for the sake of it. This time, I wanted to go back to China, be able to sit down, talk to my little cousin without needing someone to translate for me. And I told myself that just because I was born in Australia as a Chinese doesn't mean that I'm not truly Chinese. And that if I was able to do this, I would be one step closer to my Chinese identity. So remember that SAS program I was talking about earlier? So I decided to schedule a call with the Cantonese Mandarin Blueprint, you know, that Chinese learning program. They assessed my Mandarin and yeah, it didn't go too well.
What did you do today?
今天我11点 okay, I don't even know how to say hey son or get out of bed. Yeah.
Okay, that's where you're at. You're still very early on.
And they told me a few weeks to learn Mandarin was really tight. But I knew this was the program for me because this was a program that converted people's Cantonese to Mandarin. But yeah, a few weeks is pretty insane. So they put me into the fast track program and I really had to lock in for the next 2 weeks. I went on one-to-one coaching calls when I woke up. I told my coach that I wanted to learn how to speak to my cousin. So she taught me the conversations that I would have with kids. I was listening to audio courses all day when I was going to the gym, when I was driving, when I was working, and even when I went to sleep. And I was making hella notes too. And there was this one time too when someone from the community reached out to me and we got on a call on Discord to practice some Mandarin. It was pretty wholesome. We were just talking about, our Cantonese origins, why we wanted to learn Mandarin. And I found out that this guy actually lives kind of close to me too. So it was cool speaking to someone in a similar boat to me. I'm not gonna lie, like these 2 weeks of grinding Mandarin was mad stressful. There was just a lot of content to go through. But the good thing is, my Cantonese is actually pretty good, right? For someone who's born in Australia, because I speak it at home all the time. I was able to pick up what I was learning in the course pretty quickly. It's kind of just like matching words, if you know what I mean. Like if you can speak Cantonese, for 离过, you would change to 这个, and to say 咁样, you would say 这样. And the people at Cantonese Mandarin kept me accountable as well. And with the rate that I was going, I was confident that I would go back a different person this time. Then it was time. March 2025, it was time to go to the airport, to go to Hong Kong first, and then later on go to Shenzhen in China. A few weeks of hard work had led up to this trip. So yeah, on the plane I said I was going to practice some Mandarin, but I ended up watching Marvel movies instead with Chinese subtitles. And I'm not sure it helps that much, but learning is learning, right? And when I went to Hong Kong to see our relatives, I told some of my relatives that I was learning Mandarin. And they looked pretty happy about it because I said I wanted to learn Mandarin. Now fast forward to the morning of going to Shenzhen, I was pretty damn nervous. Alright, it's time to clean the hotel room, check out, and then go to Shenzhen. I was thinking that today was the day that I saw my cousin after a whole year. And last time, I was just sitting there, nodding to whatever he was saying in Chinese. I think he was talking about his toys, but I didn't know what he was talking about. But this time, I knew things would be different. So for the rest of the day, we were just catching up with relatives in Samzan. And before I actually went to talk to my little cousin, I went and talked to his dad. He was showing me around the place, and we ended up in one of the local Chinese supermarkets. Now his dad can speak Cantonese, our hometown language, and Mandarin. But I decided to be cool. I was like in Mandarin, talking to him about how I wanted to speak to his kid. 我有几班我要同你講。你講。好啊。我用了1个月的时间来提高我的普通话的水平。1个月就能讲成这样，真的假的？对对对。 我为了跟我侄子聊天的。
哦，那这说的还确实挺好的哦。1个月时间，如果换成是我来学英语跟你交流，我可能要学个1年吧。
1年？哦，我1个月，我尽力了，尽力了，
看得出来。
我可以，我自己可以听不懂就好的。
听得懂。他基本上也知道你说什么。
对，真的好，
已经很不错了。
谢谢你。
继续努力。
好，我会继续努力。
好的，没问题。那我们买点吃的吧。
好啊，来啊。Yeah, he told me my Mandarin was pretty good, and tomorrow was the day that I would speak to my little cousin. Finally, the day has arrived. I got my little gift out that I got from Australia. My cousin's dad drove us on his bike to his place. I spent weeks of grinding, self-doubt, disbelief, and stressing my brain out just for this one moment. Last year, I could only say a few phrases like 吃饭了 or 你好吗? But this year was going to be different. 雨博，你好吗？
好啊。
好啊，我会中文啦。
真的吗？
对呀，你惊讶吗？
惊讶呀。
开心吗？
开心呀。
好，yeah! And that's how it went. We spent the next few days hanging out with our relatives, visiting my grandparents at the Tomb Seeking Festival, and also visiting our ancestors as well. And of course, there were times when I didn't understand what my little cousin was saying, and his dad would have to jump in and translate for me. But it was a lot better than the year before.
抱抱。
For the first time, I was able to understand what he was saying and express what I was trying to say too. And that's all I wanted. 你要什么？姐。我来。我可以帮你啊。
佢要你抱佢。
好。冇問題，沒問題。好啦，你要緊一點。雨博，你肚子餓嗎？一點。這個不是屁股。
这几个才是屁股。
对，这里是屁股，这里是他的口，
他的嘴巴。
对。雨博小心，你想做什么？
煎鸡蛋。嘿嘿。
我给你我的手，你上过去。
这个是什么呀？
我也不知道。
鸡蛋。
我可以试一试。
哇！
我可以试一试。
你试一下。
我觉得应该不行。
应该不行了，应该不行。行啊。
如果说2只手能够合力搓，就不能抽开。
行啊。
那我再试一下。
你试一下。
你蹲下来弄。
我小心啊。
我是没有，慢慢来。
不错。
再来一刀。
再来一次。
再过去点这个地方。
这个地方。好啊。这个地方。雨博，我们去吃饭了。
这是哪一辆车呀？我知道，好想知道。
我去那个车。
那个黑色的。
不是那个白色的车。Now those 2 weeks were really special to me. I found out that connecting with family was what made me fulfilled. And to do that, for us to bond, it requires mutual understanding. And to do that, you need to be able to speak with each other, right? And that's why I chose to learn Mandarin. It was so that I could understand my family, make better bonds with them, make better relationships, and improve my identity as a Chinese person. By the way, if you're Cantonese and you want to learn some Mandarin, and if you feel disconnected from your culture or your family, like something was missing, check out the Canada to Mandarin Blueprint. This program might be what you've been looking for, and link is in the description. 谢谢你，好起劲。